In retardanistan, people often ask us, what kind of state are you? Libertarian, conservative, liberal? And the answer now appears to be 100% libertarian, baby.
And the irony of this is not that people are choosing libertarianism because they are in fact libertarian. They are choosing libertarianism because they are forced to. A new report has come out to say that public trust in government has fallen to a record low.
Yes, now this would come as a surprise to absolutely nobody who lives in the Republic. Because let's face it, if somebody says to you, go to the government for this, you'll be like, oh, fuck, do I have to? Because you know it's not going to get done. So we all know the only way to get anything done in this country is either to do it yourself or use a private enterprise.
So in terms of the report itself, out of 15 categories that the state has ownership of, 10 of those categories have declined to record lows. And lo and behold, would you think it, the police are the least trusted social institution in this particular country. And you know why? Because the police are what people see every single day, and all they do, basically, is ask for bribes.
The second thing that obviously the report highlighted is that public clinics and hospitals have experienced a decline in terms of utilization. They've dropped from 35.4% down to a whopping 13.6%, which basically means that everybody understands to go to a public hospital is basically to sign your death warrant. Faith in some gourmets is better than the faith in the National Health Service, which is ironic because we want to do NHI.
But not only that, only 37% of South Africans actually use public transport provided for by the state. Though, to be honest, they don't do it because it's a choice. They do it because, well, there is no public transport. We don't have railways. We don't have trains, no public buses. So, I mean, the lack of trust is basically the lack of the actual thing being there in the first place. You can't trust something that doesn't really exist. Now, can you?
So the net result is the only way to get around the country is either in a taxi, we all know the taxi service, God bless them, or through your own private vehicle. That's it. That's your options.
So in general, this is what exactly is happening. The ANC came into power, instituted all sorts of policies which kicked out the meritocratic civil service, imposed all forms of incompetent people into the civil service itself. These people don't know how to run a bath, let alone a Department of Health. They destroyed their respective departments, and now everyone is worse off. The cornerstone of a state is the civil service, is the capacity to give services to people. But when those services disappear due to overt ANC policy, there is very little doubt to understand why trust in the public service has fallen so far. The only two institutions that actually people trust mildly are the courts and the South African Revenue Services, but even those institutes have a declining favorability rate.
Now, the courts, I'm very skeptical of because I personally don't trust the courts at all. Don't know about you, Ramon. I mean, we're both lawyers. And we both know to get anything done in the courts, this is pretty much a nightmare. I mean, at the end of the day, you can go to the courts, but they're not usually open. And even when they are open, the little computer went down or, load shedding or, it's my lunch break. Come back later. So I don't know where this trust in the courts come from. I mean, maybe it's the trust in the prosecution services because we all know how well Juju's cases are doing. Check out Jacob Zuma. I mean, he's been on trial now for what, nigh on 20 years. So, that's great. I don't know any other countries where it takes 20 years to prosecute somebody. But hey, it's retardanistan. We like to set the records here, baby.
So my conspiracy theory is that people trust courts and the SARS is, well, they never use them. How many people in the survey actually do pay taxes? How many people in the survey actually go to the High Court for something? I suspect very, very few. So they believe in the idea of it, and they believe in, the Constitutional Court did say X, Y, Z, but they never actually use it. So somehow they understand it exists somewhere, and therefore they would trust it purely based on what the media says about those particular institutions. That's my conspiracy. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in retardanistan, the only government department that actually works, and works very, very well, is SARS. The ability to steal from the citizens through taxation. That works fantastically in retardanistan. So I'm unsurprised that anybody will turn around and say things like, well, SARS works very well and we trust them. I don't know if trust is the right word. We know they're there, we know they rob from us, and we know they'll increase their taxes wherever they can. I'm not sure that that's trust. I think we just know that they're going to steal from us.
So, in essence, back to the original question of the show, what sort of society is South Africa? Well, it is turning into a glorious libertarian utopia, which is annoying because we are not libertarian. We are far more conservative and nationalistic than that. But we understand fully that where the state fails, the market will come in and take over state services. This report shows that overwhelmingly that is the case, and it will continue to be the case while the ANC is in power. So, yeah, the first libertarian society in the world is right here in South Africa. How's that for a pioneering state?
We keep saying Retardistan is a pioneering state, and this report proves it. We are 20 years ahead of the rest of the world. But the idea that the rest of the world will not catch up is delusional. The rest of the world is South Africanizing it right now. The only difference is South Africa is 20 years ahead and more resilient to the disruption. So, with that being said, Retardistan should be celebrated and not ridiculed, even though it's fun to ridicule it.